Welcome to the Aiki Dojo Podcast. I am David Ito, Chief Instructor of the Aikido Center of Los Angeles. And with me is...
Bill D'Angelo, Aikido Center of Los Angeles, Fourth Dan Aikido.
For today, you and I had spoken about this in advance. One of the things we were thinking of talking about was what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in your 30 plus, maybe 35 years in Aikido?
33 years.
33 years this year. So
in March, it'll be 33 years.
Wow.
The biggest change is that one of the biggest changes is that people have fallen in love with breakfall. Tobi ukemi.
Tobi ukemi?
Uh-huh.
And are you referring specifically to a type of breakfall that is specific to Aikido, the sort of high air fall or
Yeah, high fall, I don't know, there's so many different
words for it?
Yeah, we just call it breakfall.
Yeah.
But it's the Aikido style breakfall that people have fallen in love with, and that it's not that, maybe I should be forthcoming in that I am good at breakfall.
Mm-hmm.
I can do every breakfall. I've had 5 concussions, right? If you look at these pictures here, here's me in action taking a breakfall. Yeah. So you can see that I do have some skin in the game.
Right.
I'm very good at breakfall. Today, I don't breakfall as much as I would really have to.
So when you're saying that the breakfall is an area in Aikido that's changed significantly in the last 30 years, was there an old way of doing the breakfall?
Well, there was the first way, which was they just threw you.
And you fell.
And then you went blam. And then people started to adopt judo style.
Right.
But then it became more sophisticated after that.
And what's just kind of going back, you're talking about these stages. The very first stage, I guess, would be early Hombu Dojo, where people had other martial arts experience. And so the teachers just assumed that you could survive a throw.
Right. Because if you think about what is the reason for breakfall or Tobi ukemi, it's so that you can take a sophisticated, more difficult throw and not get hurt.
Okay.
Juji nage, shiho nage really hard, or the person can throw you as hard as they want, and then you won't get hurt.
So it's really I hesitate saying this, but in a way, what you're saying is that the early breakfall was safety oriented and was a higher level of ukemi.
Right. And then now it's kind of become fashionable. Stylized.
Yeah. If we were to look at the comparison of old style breakfall or judo breakfall versus the more stylized Aikido soft breakfall, how has it changed, and how do you see that progression?
Well, there's 2 different types of breakfall out there. There's over the shoulder and over the back.
Mm-hmm.
Both styles of breakfall are supposed to, again, save you.
Right.
So if you think about it from this idea that you as a warrior, as a martial artist, you want to give up as little as possible to be hurt. So if the person is going to hurt me, I'll give up my finger to save my wrist, my elbow, my shoulder, and my neck. If they're going to hurt me, I will give up my wrist to save my shoulder, and so on as it goes up.
Progression.
Right. And so the reason why I don't do breakfall anymore, or if I only do it if I really, really have to, is because I've had 5 concussions.
Right.
So if you look at this video right here, after that concussion from that accident during breakfall, after that time, after that concussion, I got a learning disability, and then I have anxiety. And so I never had that before.
So I know we've seen this footage many times that you're showing. Is it the case that because of the potential for injury, we should limit these types of breakfalls to demonstrations or other places where we're trying to show something as opposed to protect?
Right. And then the breakfall is only for a certain level and age group.
Right.
Like it's very fashionable today to teach children breakfall. They shouldn't be breakfalling.
Really?
Yeah. If you know anything about CTEs, TBIs, all the
even small, tiny injuries are damaging.
Well, they're saying that those micro concussions are what's causing the CTE later on in life for some of these people.
But if you're a football player by the time you get to college, you've probably already done significant damage. It's put in the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
So like if, because if you think about a person should only start break falling when their forward and backward roll are excellent.
Right.
If it's not good, they shouldn't break fall because you don't even know how to go over the top and you don't even know how to control your body. So if you don't know how to control your body, then you have no business break falling.
So one of the things that is interesting, like at having seen the way I think when I was young in Aikido, he was very much kind of like a laid out judo style break fall.
Mainly smashing your hip.
Right. To protect your neck and head.
Right.
What I noticed, like with the way you teach break fall today, it's much more circular. It seems like than the older person.
Right, because you want to try to get over and get your hand to touch first to break the fall.
Right.
And when your hand touches first, that will help you create this roundness.
Right.
So that again, the hand hits to dissipate the energy. Right. It dissipates the energy so it doesn't go into your elbow, into your shoulder, into your neck, or into your head. But if you don't know how to break fall well, or you don't know how to roll well,
it's difficult.
Then it's wasted. And what will end up happening is that the learning curve will be so steep, you're going to get an injury while you're trying to learn how to break fall that you really could have prevented. Again, like when I had that last in 2005. So what? It's 2023. So 2005, when I had this concussion. After that, I had problems passing tests. Before I could read a book while someone was driving a car. Now I can't. If I'm in a car and I try to read a book, I'll throw up.
Can't do it.
If I'm on a plane and try to read a book, I'll throw up.
Really? On a plane?
On a plane.
Wow.
I used to love it. I used to save all my magazines
for your plane flight.
For my plane flight. So because I would just read them and leave them.
Yeah.
Now if I open it, I'm all, oh gosh, I'm gonna throw up. And that never happened.
Do you get a headache when you read, or is it just you're nauseous, or you can't focus on the words?
I just can't focus on the words.
Yeah.
So it feels like my eyeballs are going like this, right? But that never happened until I had that really bad last concussion.
So what?
And I was 35. I was fourth dan. If you looking at all these pictures, I appeared on the cover of magazines, videos with Sensei, all that stuff. So I know how to break fall, right? But then 35 is when I hit my head, and then now, like I only do it if I have to.
Yeah.
Like when Doshi was in San Mateo in 2019, he threw me, and I did break fall, and then he said, "Nai," and then I was like, "Whoa, why did he get all mad?" And then I asked someone, "Hey, what did my break fall look like?" They're like, "It was fine."
Yeah. So what do you think he was getting at?
Don't show off.
Don't show off. So is there an element of, it sounds like there is, of exhibition to this style of break fall?
Yeah.
It looks better. It isn't as noisy.
It makes the thrower look great.
Yeah.
But see that the thrower, the nage looks really good, but then their fundamentals may not be good. The uke is making them look good.
So the other question that I was just popped in my mind as we were talking about this is that as you say, the break fall makes the thrower look really good. So it's highly optimized for demonstrations and things like that. But from a martial standpoint, from a pure technique of protecting yourself as a uke, you probably don't want to break fall unless you absolutely have to.
Well, it all depends on how you look at it, right?
Right.
So there was a time where Sensei taught like seonage, the judo throw, and then we jumped over
the shoulder,
landed in a squat, and then reversed the seonage with seonage. Right. So you can do, but you couldn't. Most people in the class could not do it, but I could do it, and because my break fall was so good, and then get over, land my feet, and then throw them seonage. Right. But that's the thing is that, like, let's say a person gets you and throws you, right? And then as you're going through the air, you see like there's a parking block. You can tuck and roll and then get out of it. If not, you're just going to face plant, right? Because remember, the old days, they locked the joint, they broke the joint, they threw you, and then they killed you.
Right.
And so if they could throw you, hopefully the throw killed you. But if they didn't, the throw mangled you, you're on the ground, and then they killed you. And so knowing how to fall correctly enabled you to not get killed. And then maybe hit the ground, reversal, get out of it,
Right.
live to fight another day.
What's the hardest part as a up and coming student in trying to learn how to do this?
What this is, it's showing off,
Yeah.
right? So like here, one of the students that we have, he was maybe over the age of 60. And he said, I want to learn how to breakfall. And I said, no, you're not doing it. And I said, because if you hit your head,
It's too catastrophic.
yeah, it's too. I mean, I was 35 when I hit my head, and now I can't read in a car. I can't read a book. I have to track when I read. I have to
The line.
I have to hold my finger where I'm, or because if I don't, I will lose my place. Right? If someone goes, hey, what? And I go, when I read a book and they introduce a character in the beginning, and they'll say like, Jon Snow, and I'm like,
Trying to remember.
and then I have to go back and go, oh, that's right, he's the guy.
She has some retention issues also.
Well, because you didn't catch it when you were reading it.
Right.
And you're like, wait, who's that again? So it's only for a certain age group and certain level of ability.
Right.
Right. And so me at the age of 52, right, I might look young and I might be in decent shape. And someone goes, yeah, I'm going to blast this person through the ceiling. I have to use the breakfall to save me.
Right.
Right. Because I can't hit my head again. And when I hit my head on that video, someone ran into me. And the only thing that saved me is my arm was shocked out like this. And my kokyu broke my fall.
Yeah.
My kokyu went bam, and then my head hit. If I didn't have my arm out, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
What is the place of the breakfall in your perspective right now in 2023?
What's it supposed to do?
What is its place? Like where does it fit within the curriculum of ukemi? So like we've talked about ukemi before, the purpose of ukemi, how to do ukemi. As a protective technique, where do you see the breakfall fitting in the curriculum of Aikido?
Well, I mean, it's not that it's protective per se. It's this level. Right. So let's say I get the student in, I teach them how to roll, and they roll you teach them how to roll, they get really good at rolling forward and backward. They know how to stand up when they do a fat backward roll. They know how to roll. They know how to jump and roll. They know how to do all this different stuff. Then I go, well, I want to see where I can take this student.
Right.
I want to see if I can get them to the sensitivity through breakfall ukemi that they know how to stay in sync with the Naga's body. And then take the proper ukemi at the proper time and not just throw themselves. Most people today, when they take a breakfall, they are throwing themselves. Right. Right. And then when they land, the closer your hand lands to your body, the more what's going to happen is what happened to me is like, I have two separated shoulders. Right. Because if your hand hits the ground too close to where your body hits the ground, then the only thing in the middle is your shoulder joint, your AC joint, which is a breakaway joint. So the AC joint, the clavicular joint goes like that to save you. And when you're young, it's strong. Yeah, no big deal. Nothing happens. But when you get old, that thing goes pop.
Right.
Like both of mine are probably grade 2. But then now the problem is not so much the AC joint being slightly dislocated, it's arthritis getting into the
joint. Yeah.
All from poor ukemi back in the day, because in the back of the day, they did not teach you how to break fall. They threw you until you learned how to fall quietly. And then you're always, hitting your genitals. You're always smashing on your hip. You're always hitting your head, smashing your ankle. One time I went to this one dojo where they do a lot of break fall. And in the dressing room, every person was wearing like body armor, ankle braces, knee braces, elbow braces, wrist. And I was like, geez. But then no one had been smart
sophisticated
to smooth out the break fall, right? And so they're wearing ankle braces because their ankles hit too much.
Just slapping. Yeah.
Some people are wearing the new snowboarder tailbone protectors, the butt pads, so that they don't hit their hip. Some people, you think, wow, man, like maybe you should just learn to fall better, right? But then if you learn Aikido too late, you don't have the body control that a 20, 20 person has.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to kind of learn how to move your body. So when you're teaching someone rolling and then they start to get better and better and better, that's just the next layer, the next layer, the next layer. First you learn how to roll. Then you learn how to break fall. Then you learn how to feather fall or banana peel or whatever people call it.
Right.
And so that you can do certain things with your body, right? It's all about learning how to control your body at like the smallest detail.
Right.
So yeah, there could be a 6-year-old person who I teach them how to roll because I'm such a great teacher. And then they move really up and then they go, I should teach this person break fall. But me as a teacher, as a medical practitioner who sees a lot of concussion people, I go,
not worth it.
man, does the ends justify the means? And again, it's not you as the break faller. When I got injured, someone ran into me. Right? I'm good at break falling. Someone ran into me and then I got injured. So this person could be, they could be really good at break fall. And then they meet someone on the mat who's kind of a jerk, and that person pancakes you. And then when they do that, you hit your head and then everything changes. And then did the ends justify the means, right? You have, some of these professional football players, they're not bad people, but then they shoot up the place, they beat up all these people.
They've got brain trauma.
Because they have brain trauma. They have swelling and concussion syndrome.
From your perspective, are there any nagewaza that require a high fall or break fall for the nage to execute the technique proficiently? Are there any techniques that almost always require break fall?
No. Every technique can be done without the requirement of a break fall, but some are nicer when you break fall, Juji Nage. Right? Kata Guruma, where like in this video right here, Isoyama throws you up in the air and then you turn over and you hit. But look at the way the person takes the fall. Blam.
Right.
When Isoyama Sensei came here in 2006, Sensei goes, you better be ready. He's going to do Kata Guruma on you and pick you up. And I go, Sensei, I might be small, but I weigh 200 pounds. There's nobody picking me up over their head. So, I mean, you think about this idea like, yeah, but then kata guruma is not a traditional Aikido technique, right? Jujinage. So if break fall should be used all the time, then why don't you do Jujinage all the time or Kushinage all the time? And most people, when they do Kushinage, they back slap.
Slam. Yeah.
Right? Jujinage, you could kill somebody with Jujinage because you got both their arms. You sent him one time to the center, just drive their head into the ground.
Yeah.
Sensei taught Jujinage, the no hands break fall one, where you don't let go. You have both arms hold outstretched, and then you drive the person in, and the only thing that saves you is good break fall.
Yeah.
So he taught it on Saturday. A week later, we had a black belt test, and I had to take this person's ukemi, and he was like this 6'6".
Oh God.
Bouncer at a strip club. He did no hands no hands break fall Jujinage. He drove me to the ground. And of course, the only thing to save me is I had a very good break fall.
Right.
So then I was able to turn over, and then not let my head hit the ground. And then afterwards I go, dude, what was that? And he goes, sorry, man, I got caught up in the moment. But he could have killed me if I didn't have a break fall. I mean, he not only did he throw it, he drove it into the ground.
Yeah. It's very dangerous.
Yeah. One time this teacher came from Germany, and he stayed in Los Angeles for like maybe
a week.
No, like
a couple months.
Remember the guy who used to drive the Harley?
Yeah.
And Sensei let him teach class one time, and he did the World Wrestling Federation. He dropped me on his knee, irimi nage, picked me up, body slammed me onto his knee, and then I just hit the knee and rolled off of it. And then he even went, oh, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then I was like, I'm going to get that dude. It's my turn, right? But like, that if I didn't have a good break fall, I would have been hurt. But the thing is, at that level, I was practicing to be professionals.
Right.
Most people aren't practicing to be professionals. So should they have that level of break fall? Right? No. And then most people don't know how to break fall. Well, when I look at people, I go, when you break fall, your foot should be in line with their foot. You have the thrower's foot.
Right.
So that you're not behind. If your foot is behind their foot,
you can't catch up.
You're going to have to jump
right.
to catch up with the throw. If your foot is in line with their foot, and this is for almost 100% of the throws. If your foot is in line with their foot, you're in the right position to be thrown. If your foot is behind their front foot, you're behind the throw, and then you must jump. And then when you jump and you're in the air, you're at the mercy of two things: gravity and their temperament.
Yeah, the thrower.
So, one of the students here, excellent break faller, right? And then when I used to get in trouble all the time, Sensei used to tell him to tell me, when I was in trouble, and then Sensei would yell at him, and then he would just turn around and yell at me. And he's a really good break faller, and so I get all mad. And then when he was in the air,
What's to drill him?
Once his foot, when you're rolling, you're break falling. Once the foot that's touching the ground leaves the ground, right then I just pancaked him. Every time I was so mad. But that's the thing, is that you want the amount of time in which you're free falling to be as little as possible. If you jump, it's a long time. And the old school Saito Sensei people had to jump because the sophistication of the break fall wasn't developed yet. And then so you're in this air. So, if you look at these pictures of Saito Sensei throwing, this person's in the air. You look, Sensei, these people are in the air.
Right, they're flying.
If you're in the air and you don't have proper body mechanics, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. If you are a first kyu person at a dojo that has no ties to O-sensei, O-sensei is not going to come to your dojo and throw you.
Right.
Saito Sensei is not going to come to, so you're fairly safe. But what happens is that the teacher is trying to develop people to throw to make them look good.
Right.
Or high-level people are trying to develop people to throw so that they look good. So then they're trying to teach all these people ukemi.
Is what you're describing, though, at a certain level could be contrived?
It is contrived. So the thing is, does having a good break fall make you good at Aikido? No. So if I teach a yellow belt kid who's 8 years old how to break fall, is that enabling them to become good at Aikido?
No, not really.
No.
Yeah.
So see, like everybody today, you look at all these videos of people teaching people break fall, doing all this different stuff. Some of these people should not be break falling. Should not be at all.
I know that I've only been to Japan once, but I know that you've been there many times. Is there a difference between what's going on in international and what's going on domestically in break fall?
Well, break fall at home dojo, there's no break fall. You break fall, you're going to get in trouble. It's too crowded for break fall.
Right, there's too many people on the mat.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you go to these other places, if you're in the mix, there's almost no place to take a break fall.
Yeah. Right?
Because if it's really crowded and you're about to roll, you have to be able to stop yourself because you might roll into someone. If you break fall, remember, all break fall, there's a certain amount of time that you're in the air.
Vulnerable.
You're vulnerable, and then the person in your way is vulnerable.
Right.
So that's why you want to develop your break fall to where the amount of time that you're in the air is very little.
So when you're teaching, one of the things that comes to my mind is that maybe some of just any teachers out there teaching, they're doing whatever and they're throwing the uke is taking break fall. From a demonstration, because I know that you have a really structured way of teaching Aikido. How does the uke and demonstration of a technique taking break fall affect the regular student when they're trying to duplicate what's being demonstrated? Like, does a contrived break fall hurt or help the basic class?
Well, it hurts the basic class.
Yeah. Because
the basic person is trying to look at how to take the proper ukemi.
Right.
So if you're taking a break fall from Kotegaeshi in the fundamentals class, everyone in the room's like, what was that?
Why'd you do that?
What do I do? And then a person who's really game or athletic tries to just jump in the air.
Right.
Right. And then just do something where they're not protecting their body. Break fall is about protecting your body.
Right.
When you're being thrown harshly. Right. If someone's going to drill your head into the ground with shihonage, you can't break fall.
Right.
But if someone's going to, so there's two ways to throw shihonage. Drill it into the ground or throw them out.
Right.
But both ways you're trying to make them hit their head. If you drill them into the ground, they either have to have a really solid break fall or they have to know their body mechanics so they can fall, right. They can sit down out of it. If someone's going to throw you through the moon with shihonage, you have to know how to, and then, let's say there's someone in the way, you maybe have to break fall out of it.
And Shihonage specifically, it seems like that's one of the harder break falls to take because depending on the height of the nage, you may have to get very vertical.
So Shihonage and Iribinage, I hate taking those break falls because I'm shorter.
It's harder to get over.
When you do Iribinage, you're supposed to wrap your hand around their hip. If the person's really tall, my hand can't touch the ground, so then my hip always hits the ground. Shihonage, most people are taller than me. I have to jump over their shoulder to make it work. To make the break fall work. Again, too dangerous. Right? I'm going to sacrifice my shoulder for some dude that I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, no thanks. But that's the hard part, right? If you're going to break fall, right? What place does it have? When you look at Kushin Tissier, Shirakawa Ruji, or any of those people like that, those are demonstration moves.
Those are demo falls. Yeah.
Yeah. So the person's demonstrating. But then you go, oh my God, we all got to be doing that on Monday. Tell it's a demonstration.
Yeah.
Right? Throwing the person down, no one is going to break fall. And if you really throw them in a good break fall, like, let's say I got in a fight with a dude on the street.
Right.
And I threw him into a great break fall, they're going to get up because the break fall is designed to break the fall.
Right.
I was searching for this video of the security guard getting into a tussle with these skaters. And the security guard, he is this big dude, this little skater guy's yelling in his face. He grabs him, picks him up, and throws him. The kid takes a break fall, not knowing it, stands up, and then runs back against the security guard's face. Right? So see, the break fall isn't helping you become a better martial artist. It's helping you look like a better martial artist.
Is that the contrived, as you say, the looking or the contrived element of it? Where do you think this is going to go if you're tracking this? Because you've now had 33 years this year. What do you see in the next 20 years? What techniques like breakfall do you think are going to change over that time thing?
The thing is that most people who breakfall don't breakfall well, right? So they're shortening their own careers, right? I went to a dojo once where they could breakfall and they could take all these different breakfalls. So when I taught the class, I said, okay, forward roll or a backward roll.
They all did breakfall.
No one could backward roll. And I was like, what the heck? You guys could all breakfall it because no one ever taught them how to backward roll because it doesn't bring sexy back. Right? Backward roll is, even though a majority of the techniques that we do in Aikido, 80% are backward roll techniques or half backward roll techniques.
Right.
But this group of students could not backward roll well. And I thought that was ridiculous.
So that raises a really interesting question, which I know that you corrected us numerous times on this, but talking about how a roll is there to, how a ukemi technique is there to protect you. Ultimately, that's like the real goal, is to protect yourself. And this is a little bit off topic, but I'm just curious to get your response on this. Is it the energy that's put into the throw that determines whether you take a half backward roll or a full backward roll, or is it the space, or is it a combination of when is it proper to take the full?
Well, technically, if there's space, every throw is a backward roll throw, and except for Shihonage. Kotegaeshi, you should be forward rolling out of it.
Right.
Nagewazas, forward rolling out of it. The only one like Shimatoshi, you should be fully back rolling out of it. Because the thing is that if you always stop in a half backward roll, then you don't know how to protect your neck. And when someone drills you into the ground, you will hit your head.
Right.
So you have to be able to be thrown and then go whoop, pop right
So
up.
when people are learning backward roll, which is the different level up to the breakfall, what makes that inability to control your backward roll? Is it the fact that your neck remains extended as opposed to tucked? Or what
makes it dangerous?
Yeah, what makes it dangerous?
Well, it's about fear. So if you look like some of the new people in your fundamentals class, before they roll, they got to look. So they got to look over their shoulder because they don't know where the ground is.
Right.
Once you're proficient at rolling backwards, you always know where the ground is.
Right.
Right. And so your hand has to come out to slap. You know that you either have to sit down or roll. You know where the ground is. Right. You're aware of that. But if you fall down, in the old days, there's two different ways to take a backward roll. There was the sitting and the stepping back.
Right.
But if you go to Japan now or other places, they frown upon the sit down
Right.
because it's dangerous for your tailbone. And if you look at some of the way people forward roll today, they roll across their shoulders and not over they don't roll over your shoulders like this. They roll across your shoulders like that. Rolling across your shoulders or only stepping back saves you from an injury.
Right.
But then you can't take your Aikido to the next level. Rolling over your shoulder enables you to move into breakfall. Rolling backwards over your shoulder enables you to move into standing up out of your backward roll.
Right.
But if you don't know how to do those things because you're trying to save yourself, you're never going to progress, right? So you're looking for the people to where they have so much body control. You can just say, turn your foot out 5 more degrees,
right.
and then it changes the technique. If they can't do that, you can't go, hey man, you got to turn your foot out 5 degrees. They're like, what?
Yeah.
And so you get into this place where what is the role of breakfall? Where should it be applied?
Right.
But it's not people's fault, right? Like if you didn't grow up, if you haven't had like decades and decades and decades
of training
in a dojo under a competent teacher, you'll think, yeah, man, that looks great because your eye is not attuned to Aikido.
Right.
And in tuning into Aikido, it's not that person's not ready yet. Right. Or you have the sensibilities to go, that dude's 80. I don't think it's a good idea to roll.
So where in this schema does, like when you're in other dojos, sometimes you'll see this, like when they'll do the ukemi before class, she'll do a regular forward roll, and then the next level is now do it with a slap, and then you might do breakfall as the last iteration of the progression. What's the derivation of the forward or backward roll with a slap, and do you think that has a place that's in the intermediate between a smooth roll and a breakfall? I mean, the
slap is supposed to dissipate energy. So when you roll, it's kind of like a breakfall and your hand hits.
Right.
It dissipates the energy, so it's your hip and knee and ankle don't hit as hard. When you fall backwards, your hand hits to dissipate the energy so that you don't rise up and hit your head.
Right.
Or if you do lean back too much, like people that take a backward roll, they let their neck go.
Right.
And that's how you hit your head. You have to tuck your chin when you back roll. But let's say the person has thrown you so hard, you can feel your neck opening up. You hit to dissipate the energy so that you don't get whiplash.
So the hit fall or the slap fall is really sort of an intermediate step between a soft roll and a break fall.
And it's also left over from the days where we copied judo, right? Because judo still
does a slap
fall, right? They practice that in all their rolls,
right? Because
they don't roll out of judo is a sport, and it's not like Aikido, so they're not allowing you to roll out of the throw.
Right.
In Nagewaza for Aikido, we're allowing them to.
There's a point where you let them go.
You let them roll out of the throw, right? Judo, no, they're trying to throw you down because the next move is supposed to be a pinning move.
Right. Right.
And that's where you see the
most injuries.
Not most injuries, but that's where you see this idea of judo, jiu-jitsu, Aikido, and jiu-jitsu.
Right.
You throw to pin, right? Remember what I said? You locked it, you throw them, and then you kill them.
Right.
So hopefully the throw kills them. But if the throw didn't kill them, you got to lock them up. And then after you've locked them up, you stab them.
Right.
Or beat them to death. I don't know, whatever people do in ancient Japan and stuff like that. But like, so when we look at, if you kind of like really think about this idea, right? Like, yeah, man, I got to get all these people break falling. To what end?
Right.
And then if, as Josh Gold and Budo Accelerate and all these people are talking about, all these old people are coming to Aikido.
Right.
Right. And then if all these older folks are coming to Aikido.
And you make them break fall.
Yeah, you really shouldn't be making them break fall.
I know that sometimes in the past when, for instance, used to teach Kusanage, we had a very specific type of sort of middle of the road, not middle of the road, but like intermediate version of the ukemi.
Yeah.
And how did that work? Like,
that worked to save you from hitting your hip or hitting your head. But I don't, like when I take the Koshinage breakfall, I roll over them.
Right.
I don't roll. You don't go like this and go bam and then
Flop.
You're supposed to hit your feet and then lift up your hip and bridge to save your butt and hip. I don't do that. I roll off of them.
Right.
Then that's the way you're supposed to do at a higher level. But that's that thing. Like if breakfall is such a huge deal in Aikido, then how come we're not doing Koshinage every class? Jujinage every class? Because those are advanced level techniques.
Yeah.
They're risky. Do the ends justify the means? Right? If I'm teaching at a senior center and I'm teaching, all these folks that are over the age of 70, I'm like, all right, everybody, it's Koshinage night. Yeah, then they might have fun throwing, but someone could hit their head.
Right.
Right. And then all it takes sometimes is for one thing to happen, which changes everything. So let's say I'm being interviewed on the news and I'm talking about Aikido and I grab my student who's 70 and go, see, you got thrown Koshinage. And then I smash him.
Right.
And then the person gets hurt. And then that person complains about, being thrown breakfall. And then it opens up this whole dialogue. You think, how did this happen? We always throw people like that.
Right.
And then everything changes. And then now everyone is boycotting Aikido because it's, dangerous and all stuff. And you're like, no. I was just demonstrating to make you guys think I was great.
Right.
Right. So like this idea is like everything has its place.
Yeah.
Right. When you're about 20 some odd years old till about 35 or 40, you should be breakfalling.
Right.
Or you could be breakfalling, not should. You could be breakfalling because you've been training for a certain amount of time. You have a certain amount of body control with athletics. After the age of 40, after the age of 50, you should not be breakfalling.
So when you're teaching a mixed group of students, young all the way through middle-aged, do you think it's best practices to show with the uke the progression? So this is here you can roll out, or here you could do a break fall, and so that the student starts to develop an awareness of what the different options are.
You can. That is a method of teaching. That is a new method of teaching. And the old method of teaching was
throw them.
Keep up.
Right.
Like in the old days, like when we had intensive class the last Saturday of every month, the class always started with no warm up and 50 break falls.
Yeah, I remember.
I thought it was the funniest thing in the whole wide world because I have a break fall and I can break fall well and smooth and soft. And then you look across and all these other people that can't break fall well, and you're just like this. Ooh, that's rare.
Yeah, that hurts. Oh no, I remember those days, and I think those practices were even harder when it was a winter class and the mat was concrete.
Yeah,
those were some good times. But I mean, that operates on the theory that the more repetitions you do, you'll figure out the way of least resistance on your own, right?
Yeah, that's the idea that human nature is that the more you do it, the more efficient you will become.
Right.
Or you'll get hurt and then you're out.
Stop. Right. So either way, it's good.
Yeah. We do that. We all knew that you were weak anyway. So then the break fall is the thing that weeded you out. Like one time Sensei got mad at us because Keizawa came and taught the seminar, and Sensei was mad about the way we took ukemi because a lot of people weren't taking break fall. And then he told the teacher of the class, the whole class, 1 hour, all rolls. And then they came down and he's like, oh man, Sensei's mad. He said the whole class is rolls. I just started laughing.
Yeah.
I was like, ha, ha, ha. Because my roll forward and backward are excellent. And so that person did jumping rolls, diving rolls over people, diving over people, break fall, handshake, break fall, all these. And the whole time I was just rolling in a circle, rolling backwards in a circle. I was just, in my mind, I was like, this is like the easiest class.
Yeah.
Well, people were dying because their level of rolling wasn't very good.
Right. It's not efficient.
Right. And you have to become efficient at rolling in Aikido.
Right. Because
that's how you learn body control.
Right.
Rolling teaches you two things, body control and how to kokyu.
Develop your kokyu. One of the throws that reminds me of being very hard if the nage is trying to blast you. It's just tenkan kokyu. Like if the person really tries to blast you, like the amount of, like if they're going straight down, it's very hard to roll out. And so you tucking your neck, whether it's slap or some other way or bending and dropping your butt, that can be, you think of it as a very simple technique, but you can really blast someone and the ukemi can be very compacted.
When I was at a certain level, I could break fall sideways. Yeah, like you're like this, and then you break fall outward, feather fall, and hit. Yeah, but then Tenkan Kokiho, you're supposed to make them actually bounce off of your knee.
Mm.
And that's you should be able to, the taller you are, the more you should be able to throw them outward. Right.
So the old style in Tenkan Kokiho was where the person laid them across their, so it was a back injury.
No, not back. You can lay them across your back. When you threw them out, you drove your body into them. Ugh.
No, that's what I meant. It is that the uke's back is at risk, right?
No, their head is at risk.
Their head's at risk. Yeah.
You're always, in all throws, you're trying to
Crush
make
the
them
head.
hit their head. There's no coming back from that. Remember, this is the thing. Think about this idea of you're trying to kill your opponent on the battlefield. You could break their wrist.
But that doesn't necessarily help you.
Right. You got to incapacitate them.
Yeah.
So the easiest way, because there's no coming back, in 1888 and 1643, if they hit their head, get a really bad concussion, there's no coming back from that.
Right. Yeah. And there's more energy and weight if people are in armor and things. If they're getting thrown dynamically, there's more energy in a sense.
Well, there is, but these people talk about, oh yeah, people on the battlefield using jiu-jitsu and all this stuff.
Not really happening. It's all weapons.
Yeah, they're not. And then kicking, like there's no people kicking on the battlefield in 1655
because there's too much risk to your balance.
Well, there's that, and kicking is seen as ungentlemanly.
Yeah,
pedestrian, right?
Yeah.
And so, and then the way you're wearing armor, you're not kicking people, and they're wearing armor. Right. So you're like kicking.
It's not going to feel. The person's not going to feel it.
And if anything, you're tripping them or kicking them in the knee, but you're not kicking them in the face.
Right.
Right. Because everybody on the battlefield, every person on the battlefield
is skilled.
No, is armed.
Right. They're all.
So you're like, let's do this, buddy. They're like, sure. You grab them. They're just like click, click, click with their knife.
Right.
Right. They're hitting you with a stone. Right. They're not bowing to each other and doing this thing and the people do or whatever it is. No, man, you're facing this person. They're trying to kill you.
Yeah.
They got the kozuka in their sword. They got a tanto. They got this. They got that. They're trying to win.
Yeah.
By win, I mean kill you.
Right. Finish you off.
They're not like, oh my, I kind of like this person, right? And so throwing people, and all that stuff. We're not talking about it from the sense of on the battlefield. Right.
So in a developed dojo, and I mean developed, I mean like in a morally developed dojo, is one way that you think you can measure whether you're teaching well or not is the rate of injury?
Not really, because you could be kind of a weak teacher, and the students are kind of weak, and then everybody's kind of like not even throwing each other.
There's no power.
So nobody got injured. So that must mean I'm a good teacher, right? And when I was a student, I think there was only 2 injuries that I can remember. One person separated their shoulder, one person broke their wrist.
Yeah, that's not.
That was in 17 years.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
If you hit the wood, Sensei would go off on you.
Yeah.
If you broke something in the dojo, you're paying for it. So you were very aware and well behaved. You weren't throwing people onto the wood. You weren't beating up. In our dojo, if the seniors saw a black belt beating up on white belts, they would all go after that black belt.
All hurt.
Yeah, that we did not allow people to beat it, bully, not bully, but I mean, not just train hard. I'm talking bully.
Right.
Like one time this guy came who used to be a student in the 90s, and he showed back up like 20 years later, 10, 15 years later.
Trying to jack people
with a black belt on, and then we saw him like beating up this one young girl. So we just tag teamed that person. We beat this guy up we roughed him up on the mat so much. He went upstairs, grabbed his clothes, didn't change, and walked out and left.
Wow.
And I was like, good. Because if you want to get rough, bring it to me.
Right.
Don't bring it to a young kid. Bring it to somebody who can resist you. Yeah. When I go down to the kindergarten, I'm 4700 and I'd never lose when I go to middle school. I never lose when I go down to that kindergarten playground, man. I'd never lose. Yeah, because you're fighting kindergartners. Fight someone of stature, of ability, right? To where there's a risk of you getting hurt. But most people don't do that.
Yeah. It's interesting when you look at like some of the things that are now popular on YouTube. It does feel like stylization has achieved a certain level of acceptance.
Oh yeah, the attack today is so stylized, and people hitting, hit someone, hands going like that. There's the shomanuchi's not even strong.
Right.
Dude, when I was a student and someone hit you shomanuchi, dude, it dropped you. Hit you on the head, and you would just like, oh my God, it would just crush you. Yeah. People were always getting their noses bloodied, knocking out each other's teeth, giving people black eyes with shomanuchi. But today, they're not even stepping into it.
Right.
They're just sliding forward and going like that. Right. And I guess people say, oh no, that's how the sword is, right? You slide forward and cut. Yeah, but that's a sword. We're talking about your hand.
Right.
And we're talking about making this a martial art. Right. So what role does this have in there? Everything has its role. Right. Yubiwaza, Steven Seagal style. You could do that. I mean, it's got a role. We don't teach that on the first day. Poke out one of their eyes. That has its role, but that's not for today.
Right.
Right. So it's all those different things. Like, what role does a breakfall have? Should you be doing it? You have to. There's so many factors that come into play before you do it. You analyze the person. Well, let's see. The person got a really good roll. So if the person's a really good roller,
they're halfway there.
But what rank should you be at to be good at rolling?
Fourth cue, third cue,
third or fourth cue.
Yeah,
they're really good at rolling.
Yeah.
So when a person comes in and they're fifth cue, fourth cue, or even first or second cue, and they can't roll well,
you have to remediate it.
Yeah, I go, what's going on here? How did you get to that level and you can't roll that well? Because that means you don't have body control yet.
Right.
Right. And so at what point should you start teaching them breakfall? Right. What age?
Is fear a component in that though? Because I think people are afraid of the throws that some people think are more breakfall oriented, whether it's Koshinage or Jijinage or shoulder throw. I mean, how do you manage the fear of students for certain?
I don't even know I manage fear because I have a progression that starts and it stair steps them to the breakfall. When I was a student, they said,
here, go.
Here. Sensei taught the class and some person just went blam. And you were like, you got up like, what the hell was that? And then the person did it 3 more times to you.
Right.
And every time they did it, they got eviler and eviler. And you're just like,
stop it.
I don't want to, there's no stopping it. You can't say stop it or I'm going to sit out.
Right.
They just beat you up more. So you just had to take it.
Right.
But for me, like if I teach breakfall, I might, let's say I taught Kushnage. I'm not going to let a person breakfall that doesn't know how to do it. I'm going to stair step them and teach them how to do it properly so that they don't get hurt. So they don't have to have 2 separated shoulders. They don't have to have a litany of concussions and all this stuff. My goal is to keep them doing Aikido for their whole life. Not to look good.
So is the progression, the way you manage fear with a progression is you build up competence and confidence at every stage?
Yes. And then from there, next one, and then next one. And then some people might hit their ceiling. And then I go, and I try to make them go. They can't go any farther, but at least they can roll well. Right? But that's the thing. In order to go into breakfall training, you must be able to roll forwards and backwards real well.
Yeah.
And then you go to the next level. And then you go to the next level. And then you go to the next level.
You mentioned the one time that Free Sensei did a ukemi based class. And I know that there's been some senior instructors in the United States that have had their own systems of ukemi. Where does the teaching and breakfall being at the top of this list, but how do you structurally integrate teaching ukemi? Like, as I know, sometimes what I notice that you do differently sometimes is, let's say you're doing just Shomanuchi Ikkyo Irimi style. Like, you'll demonstrate it, and then sometimes you'll take the ukemi yourself to show the proper body movement, how to accept the power, those kinds of things. How do you decide when to do that?
Well, I try to do it all the time because I'm 6th Dan, 33 years of Aikido, right? I got my black belt at 3 years. So between 3 and 33 took me to get the other 5, right?
Right.
You would imagine, and this is not always true, that a person who's done Aikido for 30 some odd years and got risen to the rank of 6th Dan would be good at all aspects of Aikido.
Right.
And so sometimes when the uke is not, it takes too much time for me to tell them, do it like this to show this thing. So I take the ukemi and talk my way through the ukemi as people are watching me. So
Right.
that because remember, largely people are only looking at the teacher. A really good student watches the uke to see how to take the proper ukemi.
Right.
But most people are only watching the teacher.
So they want to get the throw right.
Right. And so when I take the ukemi, that enables them to see the proper ukemi. And then I say, it's like this, or it's like that, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. Right. But I'm trying to do that so that I can prevent them from getting injured. And I could hopefully, I don't know, knock on wood, speed up their learning.
Right. Right.
Right. So if I break their finger doing yubiwaza, they're going to be out for
A long
time. If I wreck their shoulder, they're going to be out for a long time. So if I look at that person, and I think, gosh, should I teach this person breakfall? I have to filter it through what rank are they, how old are they, how athletic are they,
Right.
and then when I look through that, I go, like, yeah, that's why I got mad, because we had these 2 kids that were 15 and 20 just came off the street, and they could roll like that off the street. I mean, we didn't even teach them how to roll; they just knew how to do it.
Right.
And then people just started throwing them breakfall, and that made me mad because, for one, like we have to make sure that they can do that. We have to qualify them for that level.
Right.
But most people were just showing off on them.
Right. Because they were fun to throw.
Right.
Right.
And so you have to kind of figure out where in all teaching, you have to figure out, where's the person? Where am I going to try to take this person? But where are they now?
Right.
And then what's the next level? What's the next level? And what's the next level? Because remember, all martial arts is trying to teach you is restraint, right? So I want to teach this person breakfall. It'll be great.
Right.
So case in point, like one time the student that was across the driveway joined the dojo. This guy joined the dojo. He lived across the driveway. And he could half backward roll on the first day.
Wow.
So I just started throwing him, like showing him how, man, you can really do something. And he could take the ukemi.
Right.
First day, never came back.
Because he probably was wrecked, right?
Well, a while later, one of the other students was at a party and saw him and said, hey, man, after you can come back. He said, the teacher tried to kill me. But he could roll.
So you just assumed it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see, like, where are you trying to go? Where are they at? How old is this person? Where, you put all those parameters into this equation, and you go, it's his first day. I should probably show restraint, not go crazy. But you live and learn, right?
Yeah.
And so I just want to tell you guys, don't do that. Don't do that. Or like that story I told in another podcast where a guy had been away from Aikido. He was like 4th Dan or something like that. And he'd been away from Aikido for 10 years. He shows up and there's only 2 black belts at the class. And the black belts just took turns throwing him breakfall. They didn't even take the ukemi. And then the guy, hurt my back and my doctor says I should probably quit. And I go, what were you guys doing? And they go, well, he could take the ukemi. And I go, yeah, but you can't even take the ukemi.
Right.
So if you're going to give,
You have to take.
you got to take it.
Yeah.
So there's all these people that are teaching breakfall that they can't breakfall. And so that's why in the beginning of the podcast, I was like, here are the pictures. Here are my qualifications and these videos and pictures of me breakfalling so that you're listening to someone who has the street cred of breakfalling.
Expertise.
So people who don't know how to breakfall should not be teaching people how to breakfall. Sorry. People who, if the person is not ready, they shouldn't be taught how to breakfall.
Right.
Right. So like you have to really look at these things like, yeah, I mean, we could just, like I have this shihonage that I call my 20-year shihonage. Because if you do shihonage this way, you will break their elbow, dislocate their shoulder, and make them hit their head all in one throw. And they'll probably kill them. But it's too dangerous to teach it. So that's why I call it the 20-year shihonage. Because only after you've been with me for 20 years will I even consider teaching it to you because it's dangerous and irresponsible.
Right.
We had the student who was really good, and he was like begging me, please teach me this 20-year Shonan. Please, I swear I won't use it on anybody. Right? I didn't teach him, and then of course he ends up leaving. So I would have given this guy this technique which would kill people. It's irresponsible. Right? So the teacher always has to be responsible. I'm responsible for your well-being. Safety is paramount.
Right. So
if I teach you breakfall, and, when you're a white belt or 6th Q or 5th Q,
it's not safe.
It's not safe.
Yeah.
Right. And then, but then I look good because I taught you how to breakfall.
Are there any other either ukemi or nagewaza techniques that fit into that restricted structure where they're much higher level for safety reasons that are rarely taught? I think of like Koshinage, Jujinage.
Well, there are Aikido techniques and Aikido attacks, which are considered advanced. Rotomochi, two-handed grab,
right,
is considered advanced.
Advanced technique.
Katatori Manuchi is considered advanced. Swadiwaza is considered basic, but today Swadiwaza is considered basic, but today it's considered advanced. It's considered advanced, so it's considered advanced because you could hurt your knee.
Right. So if you don't know how to do it properly.
Right. So if we just take this idea of Swadiwaza, at what level should you be doing Swadiwaza? What age level experience?
Young age.
And when do you stop doing Swadiwaza?
Right.
Right around what? 40s, 50s? But then if we continue to make people do it, they could end up getting a knee injury, and then they're out, and then you've lost time, money, students, da-da-da-da.
So, I mean, is it yours? I mean, look, we both have been around other teachers that have taught Soriwaza, but do you think Soriwaza, for the reasons you just elaborated, is a technique that's just going to almost become a relic? I mean, are people really going to stop doing it?
Yeah. But the thing is, different than breakfall ukemi, Swadiwaza, if you get good at Swadiwaza, you will become good at Aikido faster.
Right.
That's the fast track. But we take that as the fast track. You can't do it when you're 40 or 50, right? It's so different than breakfall ukemi. But breakfall ukemi is a demonstration of your ability.
Right.
Swadiwaza now is considered advanced because it can hurt your knee, but that is how you build ability. Right, so they're not one and the same, but people might think of them the same as all. If I can make them breakfall, then they'll become good at Aikido. No, the body awareness that comes from doing Swadiwaza is not the same body awareness that you get from just being thrown Koshinage.
When you talk about the body, and this is getting very off topic, but it's interesting, the connection. What, from your perspective as an advanced teacher, what element of Soriwaza, whether it's Ikkyo, Nikkyo, Sankyo, Yankyo, or Shomanuchi, Riminage, what is that key element that it's risky, but it has such a high payoff in Soriwaza? Is it entrance? Is it movement?
Well, so the idea is that you move your center from A to B.
Right.
But if you're standing up on 2 feet, you think you're moving your feet from A to B. Right? So by doing Swadiwaza, you really have to have your center developed and be able to move in.
Right. Because you can't step the same way.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we're probably delved into this topic a lot, but just to kind of, finish it off, breakfall training is advanced training. It should only be attempted for people at a certain age, experience level, and at a certain period. I really don't think that people who are young should be doing breakfall or people who are not good at rolling forward and backward. As you get older, you lose that body control, you lose your ability to move your feet. There's a high likelihood you could hit your head or hit your tailbone, hit your shoulder.
Right.
So then the risk of getting injured is really high. So yeah, breakfall makes you look good, and breakfall can really help refine your technique, but do the ends justify the means?
Right.
And then as a teacher, I always have to think about safety, and I have to think about this idea, is this person ready?
Right.
And it's not a blanket. It's really specific to a certain person.
Right. Right. I think that's a really good spot for us to finish. We've mined this one.
Maybe, I don't know. Thank you for watching. We appreciate it. And don't forget to like or subscribe to this channel.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.